Okay folks, here I want to talk about setting up strings to check your alignment for your tow out. So here we have designated a front axle and a rear axle on a dually truck. Over here's the string, over here's the string. You're going to want a substantial object like a heavy jack stand at each corner holding the string. You want it taut. Your string has got to be taut. Your object has to be outside the bumpers. So wherever your bumper is, you need to be able to measure between the strings outside the bumpers. So ultimately, the main thing you need is the distance between the strings in front of the truck and the distance between the strings in the back of the truck have to be the same. They have to be exactly the same. I mean, we're talking to a 32nd of an inch. Do not hook on to the string with a tape measure unless you have a person with a steady hand to hold it. You're going to be able to pull that string a 1/16, an eighth, or more. What I suggest is you tie the string to your substantial object, then you hook your tape, have it tied on both sides, then you hook your tape on the edge and you take your measurement to here, then you subtract off the distance from the string to the edge of your substantial object. That way you get an accurate distance between the strings front and back. Now as far as being around the truck, that's really all you need, because if you're taking your measurement from a good spot, let's say your rim, your rim is in here. Let's say from the rim to string, rim to string, rim to string. It's going to come out in the wash if these are not perfectly parallel with the truck center line. Okay, but if you do want them parallel with the truck center line, I would recommend that when you set them up, you want this distance and this distance equal, and then this distance and this distance equal. And you have to refer to a substantial item on the truck here, not the hubcap, because the hubcap can vary depending on how it goes on the lug nuts. So you want to go like to the rim. So this distance here and here should be the same, and this should be the same. But when you're trying to get these the same, do not let these vary, because ultimately this one and this one must be exactly the same. So once this is all done, then obviously you take your measurement from here, take your measurement from here, and you subtract the two. And so let's say they're off by a 1/16 of an inch, where this one is longer. Okay, if this one is longer, that means toe in. Then you do the same thing over here. Okay, and you find out they're the same. So now you have a 1/16 of an inch toe in. Let's say you have this one, and they're off by a 1/16 in the same way. So this one is longer, this one is shorter. So you subtract the bigger one from the smaller one, you get a 1/16 of an inch, 0.062. Over here, you have 0.062. You add them. If the front one is longer, and the front one is longer on both sides, you add them together, and you would get 1/8 toe in. However, you have to remember, you're doing it at the rim. The toe in spec for the vehicle is at the tire designed to go on that truck. So you have to figure out a factor to multiply that number by to get that. And it could be a factor of 1.25, 1.6. Basically, it's the distance you're measuring between here divided into the diameter of the tire. So it's always going to be bigger than 1. So that's how you set up strings to check your toe. And it's a pretty accurate method so long as you're very careful. course, these strings now, they're just like a chalk line if you're a carpenter. They have to be very tight to get a straight reading. Okay, the front tires should be directed forward, but if they're off just a little bit, you're still going to get a fairly accurate number. But once they start turning a little bit more than a little bit, your Ackerman may come into play. So essentially, once you start turning the wheels left or right, the Ackerman actually causes the tires to toe out. So you want them as straightforward as you can without getting too crazy. So I hope that clarifies setting up the strings. The important number is A and A. The strings have to be parallel to each other. Closely parallel to the center line is good, but parallel to each other.